Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm here to talk about The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. This was book 3 in the Wheel of Time series and it was my favourite so far. I feel like their series has really come into its own. I absolutely love all the characters now, like I'm fully invested in the storyline and just who all of they are as people, so absolutely love this book. This whole video will contain spoilers, so if you have not read The Dragon Reborn, it's probably good to exit out now or just mute the video and let it play if you want to help me out, but that's up to you. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like, please subscribe, and that is your spoiler warning. From now on, we will go into spoilers and talking about The Dragon Reborn. So first off, I'm going to talk about the characters and my thoughts on them in this book. So the most noticeable thing about The Dragon Reborn is the fact that Rand is missing for the majority of the book. At the very start, we are with him and he's definitely starting to lose it. You can tell that he is really starting to struggle and lose his mind a little bit. And then he disappears off on his own adventure, and at first I kept wondering, like, when is he going to come back? Like what is he doing? And then after a while I realised I didn't actually miss him that much. Like, I do like Rand as a character. I think he's interesting and I'm glad he's like the protagonist. I do actually like him, but it was nice to really focus on all the other characters and really get some more deeper insight into all of them. Most notably for me, Perrin. So I think Perrin is really interesting. I really want to find out more about the whole wolf thing, and I think it's one of the more unique parts of the characters. So, because I feel like Nynaeve and Egwene and Elaine all kind of are the same in some ways, and then obviously Moraine is different, but then there is other Aes Sedai. Perrin is the only one with this whole wolf thing that is like a main character, so I just really thought it was cool to learn more about him. I really missed him in book 2, we didn't get that much of him, so I was glad we got more of him in this book. Nynaeve and Egwene and Elaine, they were my favourite characters in book 2, and I still really liked them in this book, but Nynaeve and Egwene's fighting and like bickering did get a little bit annoying. I was actually really surprised as well when we found out that Nynaeve is 7 years older than Egwene. I did not expect that. In my head, they were all the same age. In my head, they're all around 19. I'm sure it's definitely said their actual ages at some point, but in my head, most of the main group of characters are 19, 18, maybe 20. So when they were like, Nynaeve is 7 years older, I was taken by surprise. That was a surprise to me. So I hope that they sort that for the next book and get on better, because in this one it was getting a little bit annoying, just their back and forth, but I did really still enjoy them and I enjoyed like following their part of the journey. So I'll talk about that more when I talk about some plot points. Mat is turning into quite the hero, which I really like. Mat has been kind of the loose end, I feel, before this book, and he has really came into his own. So he went from being the class clown in book 1 to like a shell of a human book 2 because of his sickness. And then in book 3, he's turned into a really brave, like strong character, and I really like that. I'm glad that we got to know more about him and explored him on his own away from the rest of the group, and obviously now that he's better as well. I'm also very interested in Mat's luck and how that works. I hope it's not used as a plot convenience too much, but I don't think it will be. But I'm really interested in seeing how this works because it was unexpected, but I feel like it's good for him to have something that kind of raises him above the level of just a normal human. Finally, I want to talk about Zarin. She is introduced in this book and she's kind of been set up as Perrin's like love interest, and I thought she was really annoying. She comes out of nowhere, she invites herself on the journey, she doesn't really contribute anything, and I'm assuming in the future obviously there will be a purpose to her character, but in this book alone I just did not like her. I did not like how she's inserted herself into the group, and that annoyed me. So all the other characters as well, I enjoyed them all, but that was the ones that I had something to say about. So I'm going to move on to plot now and start talking about the things that really stood out to me. Something I noticed about this book straight away was that it was much easier to read, and I was figuring out like in my head like why that was, and then I realised about a quarter of the way in that's because the chapters are so much shorter. The chapters in this book were like 9 to 13 pages on average, whereas I feel like before it was up to like 24 pages per chapter, and although it's the same amount of pages overall, I think shorter chapters just really help me read faster. So I just want to point that out because I preferred that, and it definitely maybe contributed why this was my favourite book in the series. It just felt much easier to read. Everything is so serious from the start. So we are in the camp with the dragon's followers, and it was just a very dark, serious tone straight away in this book. Like, we got straight into things, and I liked that because obviously we have had a lot of setup in the previous 2 books, so it was nice just to kind of jump straight into things. And I felt like Jordan didn't really over-explain things we already knew this time, which I feel like is a complaint I see, and I'm assuming it's going to come up later in the series, but as for right now, I've not really felt that was an issue so far. Simon, whose brother was a wolf, was a nice character. I really liked, like I've said, Perrin and his wolf abilities, and seeing another man with these kind of abilities, that's what I'm just going to call it. But it's obviously very, very different. Like, he was very savage and wild and just completely given into the wolf side. I thought that whole scene was really interesting, and I am just so fascinated by this whole wolf thing, and hope that we get more of it in the future, which I'm assuming we will. The Aes Sedai life, okay, in book 2, I quite was on board for the White Tower and all of that stuff. I thought it was really cool, and in this book, I'm realising, like, I just did not trust the Aes Sedai. The life that they have is just too stressful for me. Once the girls go back to the White Tower after, you know, obviously being away for book 2, instead of being celebrated, they are punished and given like the worst jobs to do, and then they're given the difficult task of searching for the Black Aja. And I was just wondering, like, how do they expect these 3 basically new starts into the Aes Sedai life to survive and like do this? Like, obviously they will, but I don't know, it just seemed too stressful for me. I was like, if I was one of those girls, I would back out way before I got to this level, because things in that White Tower are just going a bit crazy. Egwene's trial to become one of the accepted, I really liked that scene. I liked it in the last book as well for Nynaeve, and I liked it again in this book, and it really showed that she really loves Rand. I feel like we always hear Rand mention Egwene, but I feel like we haven't got too much of Egwene's side of their relationship, and it was really nice to see just how much she really cares about him and how helpless in a way she is, because she knows that she can't save him, and his destiny is like way beyond kind of anything that she can help him with. So I thought that whole scene was really great and was one of my favourites. I didn't realise before that Nynaeve hated Moiraine so much. I think I must have missed that in the last 2 books. Like, I knew that they never got on, obviously, but Nynaeve was fueled by such a hatred and a desire for revenge that took me by surprise, because I just never knew that she had this much strong feelings towards Moiraine. I thought she actually kind of liked Moiraine because she brought her to the White Tower, and the 3 girls, although it's obviously, like I've said, a stressful life there, seem to enjoy becoming Aes Sedai and want to become Aes Sedai. So I don't know, it just took me by surprise again. A lot of things about Nynaeve took me by surprise in this book, apparently. Like, there was the age thing and this, and I don't know, she's a surprising character, I guess. The pattern affecting every village that Rand had travelled through was really cool. As obviously the group are following Rand and they're going to all these villages, and there's the one where like everyone got married in one day, and just crazy things were happening in every single village, and I thought that was, again, quite cool and interesting, and just showed like the power of the pattern, and also just the power of Rand. Like, he doesn't even know what he's doing, he's just walking through towns and everything is changing around him, and I thought it was really nice. Meeting the Aiel woman, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, I'll put up the word here, was also quite interesting to me because it's another culture. I've not really touched on world building for this video because I feel like there wasn't as much as the previous 2 books. It was just kind of building on stuff we already knew. But meeting this other culture, and especially the women of that culture, was interesting. And again, I am a hole for world building. I love it, so I like that. One of my favourite scenes overall was when Egwene, Nynaeve and Elaine, after they got kidnapped, they had to destroy the Meadril. I should really look up pronunciations, but I apologise. They had to destroy it and really show their power, and I thought it was such an amazing scene when they just destroyed these dark creatures. I thought it was really cool and great. The 3 girls then later got kidnapped again, which was kind of annoying that they got kidnapped twice in the same book, but I guess it had to happen. They were taken by the Black Aja, and then Matt, of all people, went out and saved them, which I thought was so cool because obviously out of everyone he is the least physically powerful. He has the luck thing and he's very good with the, not sword fighting, but the pole thing that he does. But he, you know, just risked his neck and went out and saved them, so I was proud of Matt. And again, it just shows like his character development. In book 2, when he finds out that Rand is the dragon, he was like, nope, I want out of this. And now he's like fully in it, like, and he is saving people, and I just thought that it's a lot of good character growth for Matt. Another much more quiet scene that I liked was Perrin working in the smithy. It was just such a nice human moment that we don't really get in the series. I feel like everything is always like go, 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 like adventure, adventure. But we got like a nice calm scene of Perrin working in the smithy like he used to back home before all this kicked off. And it was just like a nice chill scene that you don't really see much in a series, but again, just really showed you who Perrin is and gave us a much more insight into his character, but the more human side of him rather than the wolf side. So that was just such a nice like change of pace, I thought, and I enjoyed it. I loved how at the end all the characters kind of converge and they're all in the same place for the big finale, and then obviously Rand fights Baalzamon. Pronunciation again hard, but what I thought was, although this is my favourite book so far, I actually still prefer the ending of book 2. I thought the battle in book 2 was much more interesting and on a larger scale. I feel like this one was much more stripped back and it was just kind of between the two of them overall. There was a bigger battle going around them, but it wasn't as described as much. So I preferred the ending of book 2, but obviously we have at the very end, Rand kills Baalzamon, and then we find out that he was not even the real Dark One. And I was surprised that, okay, so once he actually killed him, I was like, okay, obviously he is not the Dark One because it's only book 3. But I was surprised that he actually did kill him. I never expected that. So it was a mixed bag for me, this finale. Like, it was my favourite book overall, but the finale and like the fight, I thought could be better. And I don't know, there was just something about it that I didn't fully love. But I was taken by surprise when it was revealed that Baalzamon is not the real Dark One, and I just want to know what happens next. Like, because obviously he's the one that's been in Rand's head the entire time. So it's like, okay, is someone else going to take over and be in his head? Like, what's the deal? And I'm excited to find out. And those were pretty much all of my thoughts on The Dragon Reborn. Like I've said quite a few times, this has been my favourite book of the series so far, and I think it's mostly just down to how much I care about the characters and how invested I am in the characters. I feel like because I've spent so much time with them already, and it's only been 2 books, well 3 now, like I just know them all so well, and I really have an idea of who everyone is. And you know, Perrin and Matt, who I did care about but didn't know too much about, they are now like up there, especially Matt. Like, I really was a Perrin fan, and then I feel like Perrin was up here and Matt was down here, but now it's like, I just love everyone, to be honest. I just love all the characters, I love the world, and I can't wait to continue. So if you want to see my next review of book 4, please subscribe, please hit the like button, let me know your thoughts obviously on The Dragon Reborn down below as well, and I will see you in my next video.